The Detroit Pistons lose their third game of the preseason, but in this game, a certain player had himself a damn game. We're going to talk about that in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com. Use promo code Locked On. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. I'm your host, Kuka Hill, per usual. Make sure you guys head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button, or if you listen to this on one of the podcast platforms, leave us a 5-star review. That's another great way to support the podcast. So the Detroit Pistons played the Oklahoma City Thunder in their third preseason game. They lost. There's a lot of negatives to take away from this game. There is one big positive that you guys already know that I was going to talk about, and it was going to be the first segment. But real quickly, first off, before we get started, I just want to say, for those of you guys watching on YouTube, I changed my setup. I changed the way I have my camera. I changed everything up. Let me know if that's more cool to see to you guys, or do you guys like the other setup more? I'll be sure to change it back if you guys think the other setup is more appealing to see. And secondly, sadly, I think the worst news, actually not I think, I know the worst news to come of this game against the Oklahoma City Thunder was Marvin Bagley and his knee injury. Now, within like the first minute of the game, I think it was maybe even the second possession of the game, Marvin Bagley suffered what looked to be a pretty bad knee injury to his right knee. Looks like he either got his foot stepped on or it slipped and caused his other leg to buckle and kind of torque inward. It wasn't a good looking injury, and we haven't heard anything as of now. I'm recording this at 9:30 right after the game ended, so I haven't heard anything yet. We haven't had anything reported, but it didn't look good. I'm praying that it's not bad for him and that it's going to be all right and he's going to be able to get back to this season relatively quickly, because this is a big season for him. But yeah, that it sucks. It sucks to see an injury like that happen in preseason, definitely. But moving past that, and again, I do want to say prayers up to Marvin Bagley. But moving past that, I'm going to talk about one of the only positives from this game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that is my boy Killian Hayes. He had 20 points this game, 7 assists, a block, 1 turnover on 8 of 13 shooting, and 4 of 6 from deep. Listen, it's preseason, so I'm going to continue saying what I've been saying about Killian since preseason started. And really going back to media day, when I told you guys he sounded like a different player, he sounded more confident, he sounded more arrogant, and he sounded more cocky, and he was carrying himself that way. And he had carried himself that way through the first 2 preseason games, but the shots weren't falling nearly as much as they were falling tonight. And what I told you guys after those games, the same thing I'm going to tell you after this game. Was it amazing that he scored 20 points? Absolutely. You guys are lucky I'm not coming on here losing my stuff, but I'm not going to, because it's preseason. So I'm going to try to be chill and relax about it as much as I can, as chill as I can be about this. But is it cool that he scored 20 points? Absolutely. Is it cool that he had 20 and 7 off the bench? Absolutely. Is it amazing that he shot 8 of 13 from the field? Absolutely. Is it amazing that he shot 4 of 6 from deep? Absolutely. All those things are great. However, even if he didn't make all those shots, let's say you cut it in half, he gets like 12 points or something, and he plays this exact same way, I would be just as happy about it, because like I've been telling you guys, it's not always going to result in the box score immediately for him. Next game, he may not shoot this well. He'll probably have another game when he shoots 0 or 5 from deep. He's probably going to have some of those games. But the big thing is that he maintains this same level of aggression, because what that does is help him develop and helps him get better. So where nights like these will become more consistent, but it won't happen if he doesn't keep this same aggressive mentality that he's shown us through these 3 preseason games. He's been extremely aggressive, extremely confident, more confident and aggressive than I've ever seen him in the NBA consistently from game to game. We've seen him have a game or 2 or stretch within a game where he gets super aggressive like this. But for 3 consecutive games, I've never seen him this aggressive and this confident in his ability. And he's learning ways on how to use his body. He's using this. He drives to the rim. He'll turn his back to his defender once he gets to a spot he likes, and then he'll use his wingspan and his size to just rise up over to the defender and hit like a little floater shot. I absolutely love that shot that he's worked into his arsenal. I've never seen him do it before this season. That's something he worked into his game this offseason, obviously. It just goes back to the point I was saying that he just needs to remain this way. He's going to have some lows. He's going to have some highs. But if you just continue with the work, you continue to do it the exact same way, you continue to be just as aggressive over and over and over, eventually your good games are going to become the norm. Eventually, the good games are going to become the consistent thing you're going to see. But in order to get there, you have to go through the ups and downs, and you have to remain consistent with your aggression game to game to game. Now, listen, I hope he comes out next game and scores 20 points again. Heck, I hope he averages 20 points this season. I'd love for it to happen. But I'm going to assume, oh, hold on. Let's cut that short real quick. I just got an update about Marvin Bagley from Chris Haynes while recording this. He says Detroit Pistons forward Marvin Bagley III will undergo an MRI on his right knee. So we still don't know what's going on with Marvin Bagley. We don't know how bad the injury is, but we did just get an update as I'm recording the podcast at 9:34 p.m. That he is going to be getting an MRI on his right knee. Again, hopefully we don't hear too bad of news about it. Yeah, I'll update you guys if I get another update during this somehow. But yeah, going back to Killian Hayes, man, he just needs to remain aggressive. This game was amazing for him. I love seeing it. He's playing with oozing confidence, and you can tell he's having fun. Even Greg Kelser mentioned on the broadcast that he hadn't seen Killian Hayes smile that much as he did during this game that he did at all last season. And I agree. Killian's having fun out there. He looks like he's having fun. He likes playing basketball out there. I told you guys multiple times on the podcast last year, I feel like he wasn't having fun. At the few games I went to see them play last year, I didn't feel like he was having fun on the court. I didn't feel like he was enjoying playing basketball anymore. And it looks like he is through 3 preseason games. So I pray and I hope that he continues to take this same aggression that he's showing through preseason into the regular season. And just like the last few games when his shots aren't hitting, he comes out the next game and just is the same aggressive self, and he has a game like this. So this was great to see from Killian Hayes, man. He was by far, I feel like, the Pistons' best player on the team, best player on the roster, or on the floor, I guess I should say, in this game. Yeah, great game from Killian Hayes. And if he can continue to do this, he'll have a really great season, I feel like, this upcoming year for him in his 3rd season in the NBA. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I tried to be tame for you guys. I know you guys expected me to come on here, losing my mind, throwing stuff across the room, throwing my hat, partying, all that kind of stuff. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Now, if it was a regular season game, I may very well have done that. I'm not going to lie to y'all. If it was a regular season game, I may very well have came on here and acted out of pocket. But since it's a preseason game, and since I want to be as objective as possible, it's a good one game. It's great to see him get a game when he's actually hitting his shots. Now he needs to convert this into more games and string them along together, back to back to back to back. And I hope we do get that from him to end the preseason going into the regular season. So, yeah, Killian Hayes, I think, easily was the biggest positive from this game for the Detroit Pistons. Loved seeing it. But when we come back, I'm sorry to say, I think there's going to be a lot of bad that we might have to talk about for the rest of the podcast. And the Pistons have a lot of things that they're going to have to improve on. And we're going to talk about them. All the things that they have to improve on from what we've seen through 3 preseason games. What they're going to have to improve on to enter the season and throughout the regular season when we come back. But first, I have to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, PrizePicks. Now, just imagine this with me and follow along. Imagine tonight the Dallas Mavericks are playing. And I want to take Luka Doncic to score more than 26.5 points. And the Lakers are also playing some other team, somewhere, maybe the East Coast. And I want to take LeBron James to have over 7.5 rebounds. And then the Brooklyn Nets are saying, playing the Detroit Pistons. I want KD. I'm going to take KD to have under 6.5 assists. And then let's say Steph Curry is going against, and the Golden State Warriors are going against whoever. And in that game, I want to take Steph Curry to have over 3.5 3-pointers made. I want it all together in the exact same parlay. And that's something you can do at PrizePicks. You can't do that anywhere else, but you can do it with PrizePicks. And that's what I really love about PrizePicks. Not only that, but the fact you can do cross-sports entries as well. With the NFL season around and the NBA season coming in now, you can do, like I said, Steph Curry over 3.5 on threes, and then go right over to football and take the over on Jared Goff's passing yards and put it into the exact same parlay for yourself and be able to do that with PrizePicks. I think that's absolutely amazing. You can pick 2 to 5 players to see if they will score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, and you can win up to 10 times your money on any single entry. No competing against other people, it's just you versus the projected numbers. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you can watch. This includes NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. That was a mouthful, and they even got more than that. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's just that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals with PrizePicks, currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. For the first time, users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. You see how that works? Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. Again, use Locked On promo code for an instant deposit match up to $100 at PrizePicks. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or you can leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. So, like I said, outside of the Killian Hayes game, there is, you could try to find a few positives, but I think overarching in the overall takeaway from not just this game, but really the Pistons preseason so far is pretty disappointing and concerning. Actually, not disappointing, concerning. There's a lot of things to be concerned about, I feel like. And I know it's just preseason. However, the games don't count, but with regular season coming around in a week, you don't go from just like playing like this in the preseason and then just all of a sudden you flip it on its head as soon as the regular season starts. The Pistons aren't a veteran team like that. They don't have superstars like that that can just coast, and then all of a sudden they turn it on when the regular season starts, and now all of a sudden they're great. They're not like that. So I do think it's pretty concerning that they're playing this way in the preseason. And I guess we'll start with, I think, what is the biggest concern thus far with this team. And there's plenty of them, I feel like. There's a few player concerns, like Cade Cunningham's not shooting very well. Should we read into that? We'll talk about him a little bit later. But the bigger story and the bigger concern I have is, excuse me, biggest concern I have is their defense. Listen, we knew, we talked about it all offseason, that they were going to have to choose one. They were going to have to choose a lack of spacing or a lack of lob threat in the starting lineup, a lack of pressure on the rim. And the reason why they had to choose between one of them, because one of them was going to provide some defense, hopefully, and the other one wasn't going to provide defense. So you had to choose one. And in tonight's game, now you didn't get Marvin Bagley, obviously, because he had a right knee injury, and you ended up having to go with Stu at center. And I believe they ended up playing Jalen. Oh, yeah, they went with Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart. So they kind of mimicked exactly what they wanted to go with Marvin Bagley and Stu. And with those two bigs, you'd expect them to be a little bit better defensively. However, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but seriously, with the switch everything defense, you don't really get to reap the benefits of having two guys like that, Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren, in your lineup. You don't even get to really reap the benefits of what that would do, like help side defense, protecting the rim, all those kind of things. And also securing boards defensively. If your big guys that constantly switch down the perimeter, you're not going to get any boards. So a lot of it, I do feel like it's down just to the switch everything defense that we talked about in the last two episodes. But just going past that, the Pistons would be able to do that if they had good perimeter defenders, and they don't have one. Let me not say one. They don't have many. Killian Hayes is probably their best perimeter defender. And then outside of that, who else is a good perimeter defender on their team? Cade is inconsistent with it. And I'm assuming Cade's the one player on the team I do feel like is probably going to just flip a switch when this regular season starts. We've talked about that. But Cade's inconsistent from the perimeter. He has the tools to be a great defender, and we'll see if he actually turns it into consistent effort this season on that end. But really, outside of Killian Hayes and Isaiah Livers, I'll say, Killian Hayes and Isaiah Livers, they don't have any other good perimeter defenders. Consistently tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder, Saddiq Bey got blown by multiple times. not off a switch, not off a pick, just simply breaking down, take one dribble, explode, and he gets blown by. Same thing with Jaden Ivey. Now, he's a rookie. He gets somewhat of an excuse for it. Jaden Ivey's a rookie. Rookies are usually trash at defense. So I'm not going to really harp on Jaden Ivey. But they just don't have that many good defenders on the team. And for you to give up 115 points to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, no disrespect to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay, no disrespect. And I actually thought Josh Giddey looked incredibly impressive tonight. They're not a great team. And I don't know how many NBA players they're going to have on their team. How many players on this roster are NBA players, I should say, in 2 years. Like, I don't know how many. And the fact that the Pistons gave up 115 points where it felt almost effortless for them to get to 115. It wasn't like a struggle. It wasn't like they were making them work. It felt easy. It felt like the Thunder were just scoring relatively easily on the Pistons. For that to be the case, it's worrisome. It's worrisome because, again, the Thunder aren't going to be a good team this year. They're going to be at the top of the lottery again. So it's quite concerning that the Pistons can't play defense, it seems. And without Marvin Bagley's not a good defender himself. But I don't know if they thought maybe with Marvin Bagley and Stu, they'd have size. So that would help defensively. Well, with him out, now you lose that. So unless you're going to be starting Nerlens Noel and Stu, I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. I really want to see this. You know, we talked about in the last episode, Dwayne Casey said switching isn't going to be the only thing they do. They're going to add stuff to it. I really would like to see what else they're going to add. Because what we've seen through 3 games, it hasn't been good at all. It's been putrid. The defense has been awful. So that's a major concern for me. Major concern. Now, listen, I know it's a rebuilding year. I've said it over and over. I don't expect this team to win more than 31 games. I think that's like their ceiling. I've said that to you guys all offseason. But a lot of you guys think play-in is possible. And if play-in is possible, they can't play defense like this. Defense like this will net you like 28 wins. And again, it is preseason. Yes. But it's not like they have guys on their team who are veteran defenders that can just flip a switch. They don't have that. I feel like what you're seeing in preseason is going to be relatively similar to what you're going to see during the regular season unless they drastically improve or change their scheme. So it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. I'm really interested to see now with Marvin Bagley out. He's going to be out. Hopefully it's just a minor, like 2 weeks, few weeks kind of thing. But that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, he could be out for a long time. I'm interested to see what way Dwayne Casey goes with the starting lineup now and what's his rotation in the front court like now. So I don't know, man. I don't know. The defense is definitely worrisome. Outside of the defense, there's some other things that I'm a little bit worried about. I'll go ahead and just get out the way now and talk about Cade. So I do think that Cade is the one player on the team that can just flip the switch when the regular season starts. And I've said through the first 2 preseason games, I thought he was just coasting. I don't feel like he was really trying. And I do think that's still relatively the case, that he's not really taking it as serious as you know, maybe some of the other teams are and some of the other players like the OKC Thunder are. I don't feel like he's taking it as serious. But I don't think he's just throwing either. And the fact that he shot 3 of 13 tonight and he hasn't been able to really hit anything through preseason, I do think is like you're not pressing the red button at all. You're not even going above like the if it was like on a scale of 1 to 10 of like how worried you should be. I don't think you leave past 5. But I think all of us would be trolling if we didn't say we were at like at least a 3, like with the worry for Cade and his shot. I don't know if it's something he's trying to get adjusted to and try and get used to because of how much strength he added on. And for those of you guys who play basketball and have played basketball your whole lives, I have. When you put on muscle and you're working out, it changes your shot and how much power you're going to put into your shot. A lot of times you shoot the ball harder now, and now you have to like get accustomed to, okay, I'm stronger now. Let me put better touch on it. Like you have to get adjusted to it. And I do feel like Cade's putting a lot of I feel like he's putting a lot of power on his shots. Like all of his free throws tonight hit back rim. They went in, but all of them hit back rim. And that's hard. You're shooting hard shots. And I feel like a lot of his shots are also from beyond the arc, flat, and just directly at the rim. And he's hitting the rim pretty hard too. So I don't know if that's the case. Maybe that could be it. But you definitely would like to see Cade start to hit some shots from beyond the arc before the regular season starts. And here's another thing. It could be a bunch of nothing Because like I told you guys in the last episode, this is preseason. These guys haven't played in months. So he could just be knocking off some rust. That could also be it. And people could just be overreacting. Again, I don't think it's anything to be too concerned about. But I am. It's like it went from being a 0 to now I'm like starting to creep up a little bit to like a 2 or a 3. Because he's not hitting anything from beyond the arc. He's not hitting anything. And it's just something to watch. It's something to monitor. I still think Cade's going to be awesome this year. Like, I'm not saying anything like that. I just think that we need to monitor how his outside shooting goes. And if it is just him knocking off some rust, we need to watch that. But yeah, I'm going to end that there with Cade. Outside of that, he turns the ball over a little bit too much in the preseason games, but I feel like that's something Cade's going to be. I honestly feel like Cade's going to do that throughout his entire career. And a lot of high usage guys are. They turn the ball over a lot. I don't know if that's ever going to like go away. I don't expect it to be honest. So I'm not too concerned about that. I'm just interested to monitor his outside shooting. I don't think I've even seen him take a midi yet. I think he took that one step back midi in the first game. I don't think I've seen him take a mid-range shot yet. So yeah, just monitor Cade's shooting. Don't freak out too much about it, but just monitor it. Just keep your eye out on it. But outside of that, there's a few other things I want to talk about. We'll talk about that when we come back. But first, you guys got to hear from some of our lovely sponsors. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, or you leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. I guess I want to kind of go a little bit positive here because I don't want to just go straight negative, like go positive and then just everything's bad after that. I want to hit you guys with a few highs, lows, and then a few highs and then a low. Jaden Ivey shot 4-12 from the field, and I do expect him to struggle with efficiency this season. You guys heard me talk about that all offseason. Nonetheless, I don't think that was that's not something that I really care for, to be honest, for his rookie season. I expect him to struggle with it, and it's fine. He has to get better, just like every rookie has to get better. So I expect that to be what he struggles with. So, but again, that's not what I was looking for. I wanted to see so far through these preseason games, what I wanted to see before the preseason was, does his explosion translate? Is he finding ways to use his explosion to the best of his abilities? Is he learning how to adjust his speeds? Basically, when I say adjust speed, it like change your pace of speed. How do I best explain what that means? For guys very explosive like that, and even guys who aren't explosive, it really goes for every NBA player. You being able to change speeds and throw the defense off guard by going full speed and then being able to slow down, and then full speed slow down, and then stop. That kind of thing is incredibly important. It's one of the major things you need to have as a scorer, to be able to throw defenses off and beat a defender by changing your speeds. And a lot of guys who are explosive like Jaden Ivey only know one speed. They just go, 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 go. However, I've seen Jaden Ivey change his speed multiple times, and it's honestly insanely impressive. And it makes me, and again, throw out there, it's just preseason. It could change up. The games aren't real yet, I guess. But I'd be sitting here lying to you guys if it hasn't made me feel higher on Jaden Ivey immediately, because I didn't expect him to be showing me this right out the gate. Like, I expected that maybe to be something he developed throughout the rookie season as he adjusted to game speed at the NBA level, maybe a second season, learn how to change his speeds. But he's doing it right out the gate. Now, does he still struggle with, not slowing down and turning the ball over? Yes, he's going to do that. He's a rookie. Come on. It is what it is. But his change of direction and change of speed, how to do it at the same time, not just change direction going fast, but to be able to change direction while slowing down and then exploding right out of that. He did it so many times in this game against Oklahoma City. It was incredibly impressive to me. Multiple drives when he crosses over between the legs to the left after exploding, crossover, slows down, and then explodes off the cross after changing directions and just blows by defenders. Listen, there's plenty of guys that are explosive in the NBA. There's plenty of guys at the guard position who are extraordinary athletes. But the ones who end up being great are the ones who know how to do that. The ones who know how to change their speeds. The ones who know how to change direction. The ones who know how to use the speed to catch defenders off guard when they go slower. All those kind of things, those are the ones that make elite basketball players. And the fact that Jaden Ivey is showing me already that he knows how to do that and he's doing elite skill, an absolute elite skill for someone that explosive to be able to do. And that makes me really, really hopeful with Jaden Ivey and a believer in his that he's going to eventually turn into a star. He has to sharpen out all the other stuff. He's gonna have to improve all that other stuff. But that right there, seeing the change of speed is great. Absolutely tremendous. To end the podcast off, I just want to give some quick takes. Oh, wait. Actually, where is it? Oh my god, I'm gonna be so mad. Hold on. Okay. To wrap up the podcast, I was going to talk about a few other takeaways real quick, tiny takeaways from the game. But I almost forgot about this. I really wanted to do this. So when I got married, my brothers all got me, and my sister, they all got me like a wedding gift. And I told you guys in the last episode, one of them, my mom got me this basketball in the background. You guys see the hooper over here that you guys see. My other brother got me that. There's a few other things that my family got me that it's not in here. But one of the things one of my brothers got me is this right here. And we're going to be incorporating this into every single episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. And this one, it's a game. It's a card game that he got me, and it's called You Gotta Know Detroit Sports Trivia Game. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to be incorporating this into every single episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. And I'm going to ask you guys a question. One of these cards. I'm going to pull the question out at the end of each episode. Or maybe I'll do it at the beginning since I forgot. But I'm going to ask you guys one of these questions. And I want you guys to comment below your guys' answer or tweet at me if you guys listen on the podcast, your guys' answer. And I'll just pick a random person who gets it right. And I'll shout them out. And maybe we'll do like a little special segment with them. Maybe we'll have them pick a segment for the team or for the podcast.